Why do you give them a first, a third, and a sixth-round pick for a guy who's been to the Pro Bowl once?
Maybe his talents was being hidden, man. Nobody give him the ball.
Well, but
no running game to go with it.
I agree with all that, but my point is Randy Moss, the New England Patriots got Randy Moss for a fourth-round pick. And Randy Moss, even before that pickup, was still one of the top receivers in the NFL. I know he was on. A lot of people thought when he was in Oakland,
he was chilling.
Right. All he did was he just went dormant while he was in Oakland.
He saved his body.
And now look at
beating in Oakland.
Right, when you can get to a team like New England and become a great receiver. But I was just surprised that they gave up that many picks for a guy like Roy Williams. I could see giving up maybe a third and a sixth, but a first round.
That first round, I don't know about that.
Unless the attitude there might be, if we're winning, that's a low first-round pick. That's 31st, 32nd in the draft. So really you're not going to get a quality player, or an impact player at that point. But we'll see how that's going to play out. Tony Romo, like you said, he's got the broken pinky, but he's been practicing this week, so he might try to get on the field this weekend. But they've still, the punter broke his foot last week. Sam Hurd broke his ankle. He might be out for the season.
Pac-Man broke
rules. Broke down.
Right.
He broke something. But Pac-Man, he's gone for 4.
Maybe more.
I think he's going to be gone for the season.
Because now they're doing another investigation into what really happened. And when that comes out, he's probably done forever.
Yeah. It's just sad that a guy with all that talent who had to sit out an entire season and then have to come back and talk his way. I mean, you think about it. He basically had to talk his way back into the league with Roger Goodell, and now, after just 6 games,
right?
I mean, he couldn't stay clean for 6 games.
Did they even make the bye week? I expected this to happen in the bye week.
That's it. But you're in, and I think the amazing part about it is they were at home. He was in Austin, Texas, or Dallas, Texas, in a hotel there, intoxicated and fighting with a Cowboy employee.
His personal bodyguard.
His bodyguard that was hired by Jerry Jones.
A grown man with a babysitter.
No. Now he had a temperature.
No, Pac-Man, you ain't going back downstairs.
I'm going downstairs. You can't hold me back. You ain't my daddy. You ain't my daddy. Well, now look what happened. Now his stepdaddy then came in and set him down. Now he upset. Well, I don't understand what's happening down there, Big D. Wade Phillips, that's the guy I really feel sorry for. Because he's been put in a position where he can't win.
Right.
If they would have been winning, everybody said, well, you're supposed to. Now all this turmoil happens. And Wade Phillips didn't choose to bring in a Pac-Man and, the T.O.s and guys like that. So at the end of the season, if the Cowboys don't win the Super Bowl, or if they do win the Super Bowl, either way, Wade Phillips is out.
Yeah.
I think he's done. Well, the biggest game that's on the docket this Sunday is happening in Soldier Field up there in Chicago, off the lake, but it'll probably be 70 degrees, so it ain't going to be your traditional, bare weather, as they like to call it.
Whatever.
But the 3-3.
We play outside, man.
Chicago Bears.
Playing in no dome, you know what I mean?
Is that outside or is that a spaceship y'all playing?
Whatever, it's outside. It's not. What is that, y'all? A big balloon. What y'all playing?
Wow, a balloon.
Yeah.
No, it's a hefty bag.
Yeah, right.
Minnesota Vikings are 3-3. The Bears are 3-3. Along with the Green Bay Packers, all 3 teams are tied first place in the NFC North. That really, I don't know, is it the glass half full or half empty when you talk about it?
The way I see it is, Indianapolis is probably going to take care of business up in Green Bay.
Okay.
So the winner of this game is back in first place.
With the winning record at 4-3, and then the loser will drop down to 3-4. Well, looking at that game right now, you've got Kyle Orton, who, for all intents and purposes, is one of the top quarterbacks in the NFC right now.
You can, I'm going to say it, you can call and laugh at me. Right now, we talked about this earlier, what Pro Bowl takes how many quarterbacks? 4?
Mm-hmm.
You got to put Kyle Orton in one of those 4 for the NFC.
Yeah, you figure right now in the NFC, the top quarterback probably is Drew Brees. Drew Brees and Eli Manning. Donovan's been he's been doing a pretty good job for Philly, but their record isn't commensurate with what he's been doing on the field. Other than that,
Orton.
You have to put Orton out there. Aaron Rodgers replacing Brett Favre, he's been doing a pretty good job, but I agree, you have to put Kyle Orton in the top 4 or 5.
Because Romo and the Cowboys, that offense hasn't really been, getting along like everybody thought it was going to be the high-scoring offense it was.
Right. Yeah, so you have to put him out there. The other thing now, Matt Forte came in, second-round pick out of Tulane. That first game against Indianapolis on Sunday Night Football, he broke it was about a 55-yard run, ran for about $1.25. But since that game, his rushing stats have gone down every game since then. Do you think the wear of the NFL or the fact that people have figured out, how to play Matt Forte, or what do you think is happening with him?
Wow. Probably, yeah, you probably hit that on the nose. I mean, people kind of jumped the gun when he had that first game. Mm-hmm. He's probably doing exactly what the Bears thought he would do, which is, I don't know, be able to run a little bit and come out the backfield and receive the ball a little bit, which Benson couldn't do that last year. And now with this passing game of the Bears being a little better than what it was, the Bears are not a running team like they used to be.
I actually think it's more of the, I won't say more of the same, but last year a lot of people talk about the fact that the Bears' offensive line was kind of in disarray. It's the same offensive line this year. Forte, as you said, just came out, I think, with fresh legs early. He's a highly touted back out of Tulane. However, when the offensive line is not as good as some other offensive line, that back has to do a little bit extra.
More, yeah.
Now, he is leading the team in receiving. He's got 27 receptions for the season. But in terms of running the football on a consistent basis, and I don't know if they're asking him to be the 100-yard rusher a game that they may expect some other backs to be.
A running back, it's all about production. As long as he's producing out of the backfield, whether it's, putting up 80 yards and catching for another 40, it's all yardage from the line of scrimmage. And really, that's all you can ask for from a rookie.
Now, on the flip side, the back that he'll be in the marquee matchup, AD all day, Adrian Peterson. Peterson's rushed for almost 600 yards this season. However, he's put the ball on the carpet several times and lost 6 fumbles, to be exact, this season. So his rushing production is about the same in terms of yardage, but his touchdown production is down. What do you think is happening with Minnesota and Peterson in terms of his production being down?
This is nothing, just a big target on him. Now, everybody knows about Adrian Peterson now, and now the target is bigger, and teams are gearing up to stop him. I mean, that's all it is in the NFL.
Right.
Nothing lasts forever in the NFL. Once you get that good season, guys gear up every week to stop you, and that's what the teams are trying to do.
I think the one problem with him is that the offensive play calling, last year, he split time a lot with Chester Taylor, and like Wayne said, he was fresh when he came in. Now, you see him on pass plays. You see him basically playing probably 80% of the snaps on the offensive side of the football. And I think that might have a little effect in terms of the wear and tear on him, in terms of him putting the fatigue, in terms of putting that ball on the carpet. Now, we all know the quarterback quandaries in the NFC North. Nobody other than the Bears right now, which is kind of amazing, have solidified the position with the quarterback. Minnesota's got Gus Frerotte going out there after Tavares Jackson was a bust after 2 games. He's won 3 games, lost 1. He's not looking pretty, but the results are there.
All right.
On the flip side, the defensive side of the ball, you got 2 teams ranked in the top 6 in terms of total defense. And the difference in this game, I've got a feeling, is going to be who can turn the other team over.
And everybody talks about how good the Bears defense is, but truth be told, the 3 games the Bears lost because the defense didn't play in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
The 3 games they won, the defense stepped up and made a play in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Other than the Detroit game, which was a blowout.
Exactly.
But, the Bears defense got to show up, because if one thing we do know, Minnesota's defense is going to show up and play.
Right. One of the things I think if you notice about this rivalry that's been going on forever, the games are usually low scoring. I mean, last year in Minnesota, Vikings won 20-13. Now, in Soldier Field, that game was a little bit more high scoring, but I don't think you're going to get the ball moving up and down the field like they did in last year's game. I think the key in this game tomorrow is going to be the linebacker play, because the cornerbacks for the Bears, Charles Tillman and Nathan Vasher, both out. They're both going to be on the sideline. That doesn't mean that Minnesota's going to come out and start throwing the ball around the field. I think the linebacker play is going to be important, because that's who's going to be tracking these 2 running backs.
Right.
And if the Bears linebackers can do an excellent job in terms of containing Adrian Peterson, it's going to force Gus Frerotte into passing situations.
Yeah, and another thing, the Bears defense line has to get pressure on Frerotte, because with two young cornerbacks coming in, you don't want them having to guard people way down the field. So if the Bears can get in and get early pressure, quick, get to the quarterback quick, it gives them a better chance of covering the shorter passes.
I think the X factor for both teams tomorrow, Bernard Barron will be the X factor for Minnesota.
Yeah, he'll have an X on his back, all right.
Yeah, they're going to be shooting for him. But I think on the flip side for the Bears, I think the X factor is going to be Greg Olsen. I think because Minnesota has a couple of injuries, E.J. Henderson's out for the season. At linebacker, David Herron, who came in to replace him, his status is uncertain for the game. Look for the Desmond Clark and Greg Olsen, but especially Greg Olsen, to be running that seam route up the middle of the field and see if he can extend those linebackers there. With all that being said, being a Viking fan, I'm a homer. I'm going to go with my team all the way. Minnesota 17, Bears 13.
I thought you smelled funny when you walked in here. What you been smoking, man?
Well, if I've been smoking, what you been drinking? Because I know you get ready to give me one of them old hey Kool-Aid answers. So I'll hit my bong.
Every time I
you
spit
hit
out
your
a score
cup.
around here, I think I'm closer than you are.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what.
All right.
Get Minnesota 45, Bears 3. Because I know that's what you want to say.
24-17 Bears.
24-17 Bears?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll give you 24-17. It might be on the flip side. But we're going to find out Sunday.
Whatever.
Probably about 3:30 on Sunday when I get a text message or he called me, you know. Now, I don't know if there's any FCC regulations, some of the stuff that he sends me on text messages, but we'll see what comes out on Sunday after the game is over with. Because he did send me a nice one after the Atlanta Falcons game, just to let you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, you got some other games going on. You mentioned Green Bay and Indianapolis. Indianapolis.
Dr. Jekyll. Mr. Hyde.
Right. What the is going on with them? Joseph Adai's out 2 to 4 weeks with the hamstring
They
injury.
go out and put up the most points they put up all year on the
Against
best defense.
The Ravens. They made the Ravens look like the
like-
Pigeons. They smoked them out there.
Right.
But now they'll come back against Green Bay. Now, Green Bay's has Cullen Jenkins is out, and then
Yeah.
Al Harris has been out with the lacerated
think-
spleen.
It all came out this week, man. The dude just getting healthy. Peyton Manning wasn't healthy when the season first started. That's
Right.
all. That's all that stuff attributes to, you know. Peyton getting healthy. Aaron Rodgers don't know what he's gonna bring you from game to game. Indianapolis putting up 30.
You think Indianapolis is
Yeah.
going to put up 30? With the fact that this game is in Green Bay, Lambeau Field, I think that may give the Packers just a little bit enough effort to keep the game close. But the running game, the Packers' running game has been non-existent. Ryan Grant suckered the Packers.
Right.
He played good football for 10 football games last year, held out of training camp, got a fat contract, and now he disappeared just like everybody's 401k plan did this week. The Green Bay Packers are not going to be able to do anything if Dominic Rhodes gets out there and runs like he did
Right.
against Houston and against the Baltimore Ravens. And like you said, Peyton Manning's getting healthy. Gonzalez is now back from his injury. Harrison's starting to look like the little crackhead he was for most of his career, and Reggie Wayne. So with that being said, I got to go with the Colts all the way on that one. The big game in the NFC South, New Orleans Saints 3-3. They go down to Carolina and take on the Carolina Panthers. Now,
The Saints are tough, man.
Drew Brees is hot.
I don't know how they lost that fluke of a game on Monday night a couple Mondays ago, but
You know why they lost that game? And I'll tell you that, but also get back to Drew Brees. The reason why they lost that game on that Monday night, they got too cute with their play call.
yeah.
After coming out in that first drive and scoring on Minnesota in as long as it take to cook a Pop-Tart, they should have started running that ball because if you notice in that game, every time Reggie Bush hit the edge of the Minnesota defense, minimum 5-yard gain.
Right.
But what they do, they kept throwing the football. And what happens is I think a lot of these offensive coordinators and coaches who get enamored with throwing the
I
football.
was thinking about that earlier today, man. The game of football is getting – people are starting to think they're too smart, so smart. What happens to just lining up, banging people in the mouth and playing football? Everybody's trying to trick everybody now. And it's backfiring. That's what I was thinking about, in the Illinois game with the bootlegs and stuff like, man, just line up and run the ball, man.
Everybody used to complain how boring that type of football is, but think about who wins the championships.
Them type of teams?
The teams that play that type of football. Just line up, hit the guy across the line in the mouth, and move the ball. All you want to do is
That's
move
why
the chains.
Pittsburgh is as good as they are. They don't get too, man, they are lining up and they're going right at you. And on defense, they're going to hit you in the mouth.
And when you speak of the Pittsburgh Steelers, you just said the personnel changes every year, but the system doesn't change.
Right.
No matter who the coach is, who the quarterback is, the Steelers are going to line up. They're going to hit you in the mouth. They're going to play smash-mouth football on defense. And what happens? Year in and year out,
Playoffs.
They're in the playoffs, and they have opportunities to go to the Super Bowl. Going back to New Orleans, Sean Payton got too cute against Minnesota, and that's why they lost that game. Goes down to Carolina. Reggie Bush, a little nicked up, but he still should play. If they run Deuce McAllister more, it gives Drew
Bang him
Brees
up the middle.
more opportunity to go over the top.
Yep.
But if you keep starting out pass first, yeah, I mean, people will jump out of the stands and, you'll sell more tickets and you'll have more little Mardi Gras dancers down there. But in the end, you won't win football playing that way.
Right.
And with that being said, going down to Carolina, I expect Carolina to bounce back after getting beat by Tampa and beating New Orleans.
Quiet as kept, man, that might be the best division in football.
Yeah, and speaking of quiet as kept, I think everybody thought that was probably going to be the worst division this year.
Because, I mean, Atlanta's 4-2? Mm-hmm. Tampa Bay, 4-2.
Right.
What's New Orleans record?
3-3, and I think Carolina's 4-2. So,
Sound like the best division in football.
They playing some good football down there. Now, probably for the first pick in the 2009 NFL Draft, this game is already being played in Week 7. The Detroit Lions go to Houston to take on the Houston Texans. Now, when John Kitna is put on injury reserve for the rest of the season, and you trade Roy Williams,
they threw in the towel, man.
they quit after 6 games.
They quit.
Detroit, they quit like Kimbo Slice did a couple weeks ago. I cannot believe that the organization, they fired Matt Millen, which was a good move, but then you
4
take
years too late.
Right, but then you take your quarterback and you bench him for the rest of the season.
For a dude who don't even know how long the end zone is.
He think he's playing in Canada. He's like the white line is inbounds, right? I don't understand what they're doing there. Then Houston, the Reggie Bush Bowl, they could have got Reggie Bush. They got Mario Williams. He's doing okay down there, but ain't got no victories.
Offense.
Right, and that's why everybody was so upset with Charlie Castle. And with that, Detroit, Houston, I got Houston winning 3-0.
No, I get Houston 17.
You give them 17?
Yeah, I mean, Detroit is good for 2 turnovers.
Yeah, well, that's true. And with, the way that, like I said, that organization being run,
right.
they should be suspended like Pac-Man.
Right.
Detroit should be suspended for 4 games for impersonating the NFL team.
Sentence.
That's it. Just get them all out of there.
Like Tulane had back in the day.
Now, another game that looks like it's going to have some interesting implications other than the Minnesota game, Pittsburgh goes to Cincinnati. Now, the reason why I say it's got some interesting implication is the fact that Marvin Lewis, I think the sands in your hourglass are running out like the Wicked Witch did to Dorothy. I think it's going to be over with for Marvin Lewis.
And week in and week out, they're not playing that bad of football. They just can't win.
And what did Jerry Glanville say the NFL stood for?
No.
Not for long.
Right.
If he keeps losing, he won't have his job too long.
Seriously, man, the games they play are close, but for some reason, they can't pull it out.
Yeah. San Francisco goes to New York.
It's a tricky team, man.
San Francisco is one of those squads that one week they look a little bit better. The next week they go out and lose to Philly by, 14, get 40.
New York probably slobbing up the mouth now.
Man, and I think after that beat down that New York took on Monday Night Football by
I wish
Cleveland.
Money was here to tell us what happened.
Oh, well, is New York his team?
San Fran was.
Right. Well, San Fran was.
His team's playing against it.
No, Tampa is his team. Remember?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Bun, I know you're going to get a tape of this. We're talking about you. Right. San Francisco, like I said, Frank Gore is really the only productive offensive player on that team.
Right.
New York, I think Eli's going to bounce back, especially with that game being at home.
And this is good Monday.
This is that dreaded team from the West Coast that guys that go all the way out to the East Coast. Look for New York. If you're a betting man at home, we don't condone it. But if you did, bet the mortgage on this one. New York's going to smoke San Francisco this weekend. Dallas, now, this is going to be an interesting game. The Cowboys go to St. Louis. And all the injuries we talked about earlier with the Cowboys, and they're taking on the Rams. The Predators back there running for the Rams. But it doesn't matter if it's Jim Haslett or Jim Backus is coaching them. The St. Louis Rams are just a horrible team.
Don't tell Washington that.
Well, and I was going to point out the fact, as bad as they are, then they rise from the ashes and beat the Washington Redskins.
At home.
Now they're taking on the Cowboys. Does Brad Johnson start, or do you go with Tony Romo against?
If Tony Romo can throw the ball, you go with Tony Romo.
Okay.
Cowboys got what, 3 losses? 2.
They got 2.
They can't afford to lose another game right now. Not the way the Giants are playing and Washington.
Yeah.
So, and they got to, they still got to play those 2 teams again.
I agree.
In Philly.
I agree with you on that.
Every game, you got to go out to win. You can't rest Tony Romo thinking, we should be able to beat St. Louis. Nah. Because you'll end up missing the playoffs that way.
Well, St. Louis got the worst run defense in the NFL and the worst scoring defense in the NFL. So if I'm Wade Phillips, and I'm Jason Garrett, the offensive coordinator.
Felix.
And Marion the Masher. I'm Marion the Masher, Then I'm coming over the top. Let's see what the first, third, and seventh round pick for Roy Williams, if it's really worth it. That's when I find out, because if not, boy, I'm picturing him and T.O. It's going to be like an episode of Cops with him and T.O. on the sideline.
And that's another thing. You got to wait till the end of the season if stuff starts to boil over. That can get very ugly, man. That's like having 2 superstar singers trying to share the same stage.
Divas.
2 divas.
Aretha Franklin and Whitney Houston. Just make sure the crack pipe ain't around. Now, we got the old Heidi game coming up. The New York Jets go out to Oakland to take on the Raiders. Now, Brett Favre is 3-2. I know I was one of the people that said that he was washed up, but, he threw for 6 touchdowns against the Cardinals. And last week, he did, Thomas Jones did his thing. I'm really looking at the fact that the Jets, now this is the flip side.
They ain't playing nobody.
They're going to Oakland, so this is the East Coast, West Coast fly.
Yeah, but
like you said, they're not playing anybody.
Man, you know who Oakland's coach is?
No.
Tom the cable guy.
Tom needs direct TV because if he wants to see this game.
Nah, New York big.
New York big?
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. And in Seattle, they go to Tampa. Now, like I said, Tampa just smashed Carolina last week.
Tampa's tough.
And Seattle got too many injuries on that team right now. So I'm looking at Tampa all the way. We'll go to the phone lines, 328-8280. Caller, tell us your name. Tell us where you're calling from. Tell it like it is.
Dan from St. Joe.
What's going on, Dan?
Not much. How are you?
Good, man.
I want to kind of talk a little bit about the Brett Favre deal.
Okay.
My opinion, I thought it was a kind of a bad trade on the Jets' behalf.
You think it was a bad trade on the Jets? Why is that?
Because Brett Favre, I don't know, he's old and he's kind of injury prone. And Pennington's the real deal.
Well, if you look at what's happening right now, the Jets are 3-2. Now, Pennington is doing a good job down there in Miami, but I think the Jets were thinking, Chad's been there, 5 years? And hadn't gone anywhere. So
then you make the comment about Brett Favre is injury prone. Injury prone doesn't matter if you haven't missed a game since 1992.
No, Favre's injury prone.
Okay, but what does that mean? You saying he's injury prone, but he haven't missed a game since 1992. Have you ever heard of playing injured?
He's missed games.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you calling, Dan. You take care of yourself, man. Take care. We'll see you later. He said he's missed games. His boys back there propped him up, too.
Yeah.
Hey, folks in St. Joe, the liquor store should close a little early. Well, we appreciate you calling, Dan. You hit us anytime, UPTV Channel 6. Tell it like it is. Only got a couple more minutes left of the show, but he's missed games. That's nice.
Where he been?
I want to go where he's going.
All right.
That's what I say.
Hey, where the party at, man?
Hey, Dan, call us back.
Tell us where the party
Tell
at.
that girl where the party is. We'll come on over to St. Joe. Me and Big Wayne will hang out with you, and maybe we can get some of that stuff to make you figure out that Brett Favre's missed a few games. That was nice. Speaking about missing the game, did you miss the game last night, Tampa and Boston Red Sox?
No, I did not.
7-0 in the seventh inning.
Here they go again.
Mama, that's that man.
Here you go again.
Here you go again. Mama, it's that man.
Right.
Can Boston, after as many
Don't
times...
say Kenny, because we all know they've done it before.
Oh, my goodness.
They've done it before. Only thing, there's no Schilling,
Right.
Josh Beckett isn't at his best right now, and that's the next pitcher on the mound. So it's going to be a long hill.
It's going to be a long hill, but you think about Tampa. You've got a young team that's playing against the veteran champions, and whenever you're playing against a champ, when you got an opportunity to knock the champ out.
Each time they made them comebacks, Boston, Tampa was probably sitting at home on their couch watching exactly what happened.
That's it.
Now they feeling like, man, can they do us like that?
And if you watch them do it against their dreaded rival, the Yankees,
Right.
and then go into the World Series and do it to the Cardinals, and just sweep teams and just go,
Right.
go. Now you've got a situation in 2008 where everybody thought, okay, the Red Sox, wild card team, just snuck in barely, and what they do? They take on the Sox.
Right. Smash them. Boston, I'll tell you what. If they win this game tomorrow,
Oh, Game 7's a wrap.
right, Tampa Bay, the heads will be swimming. They won't know what's going on. The nerves will kick in. You look to see Philly and Boston in the World Series.
Yeah. Now, if you're Philly and you're sitting back, they close out the Dodgers in 5. But if you're Philadelphia,
You want Tampa Bay to get this over as quick as possible.
so you're saying Philly would want
Yeah.
Tampa to come
Yeah,
on in?
You don't want to wait till. I mean, I guess it don't matter. You're going to Wednesday anyway, but you don't want to catch Boston on a roll like that.
Right.
No, that's the same thing that happened, like you say, it happened to St. Louis. Boston was down in New York. They came back from a 3-0 deficit to beat them 4 games in a row, and they kept the train rolling. So I would rather play a team like Tampa Bay, first time there, a lot of young guys, big stage. I wouldn't want to face Boston.
Right. Well, I'll be honest with you. I agree with you 100% on that. If I'm Philly right now, I'm hoping Tampa gets this thing over tomorrow night. Because if Tampa doesn't get this thing over with tomorrow night, and then they go into Sunday and Boston wins this thing, and they come in on that roll into the World Series, the World Series could be over with in a week.
Right.
It could be done 4 games. Philly will be still trying to figure out, have they played 1 game, and Boston will be holding up the trophy and drinking champagne.
Right.
So I agree with you. If you're watching baseball tomorrow night, Game 6, Tampa and Boston. But if you're a Rays fan, which, first of all, who is a Rays fan? How can you be a Rays
become
fan?
one?
Right. They had 6 people come to the game all during the regular season. Now I think they got mannequins dressed up in jerseys down there to try to fill the stands.
Right.
If you're a Rays fan, you better get it over with tomorrow. Well, coming to the end of another show, Tell It Like It Is, UPTV Channel 6. Before we get out of here, first of all, I want to thank Bruce in the back, Stat Girl sitting here chilling, Dan over in St. Joe. Dan, we're coming to see you in a few minutes, so make sure you call back in to tell us where we can hang out. We will also let you know the half-hour Tell It Like It Is show that shows on WCFN every other Sunday at 6 p.m. So it's Channel 3 on your cable and Channel 49 on DirecTV. So if you get a chance to check us out, as usual, as we've been telling you, it's because of you that we got an opportunity to do that show. So if you get a chance, check us out 6 p.m. this Sunday on WCFN, and we'll be hanging out there. So for Stat Girl, Bruce, Big Wayne,
We're doing some amazing tricks on that show.
make sure when you watch this show, you'll see what a head looks like that's too big to get a regular size
You ever
helmet
seen
on.
somebody put one of them Dairy Queen helmets on?
That's what you'll see this Sunday. WCFN, check us out. Good night, everybody.
You ready? Let's go.